It's his grandson, I guess, Mike.
Right.
Yeah.
But is he as humble as Jason Kelce? I mean, this guy's an international,
that's a great point.
international superstar.
Probably
Dare I
not.
say galactic? Because they had to bring those astronauts back yesterday.
Intergalactic.
They brought the astronauts back yesterday because one of them was sick. But I would put good money on one of those four knows who Jason Kelce is, which means Jason
for
Kelce
sure.
is a galactic.
Intergalactic.
Beyond.
That's a great point.
A galactic superstar, Jason Kelce.
Thoughts of me of
How are you, buddy?
Atmosphere. Well, personally, all right. Yeah, a little tore up, obviously, with the week and the way it ended, and really frustrating end to a maybe even more frustrating season, if that's possible. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm doing.
It was rough. So, Jason, what's your biggest takeaway? We'll break it all down, but your biggest, whether it's the game itself or the season, and they were very similar. They were very structurally similar, other than Cooper DeJean and Quinyon had issues, which is rare. But structurally, it was pretty damn similar. Biggest takeaway from the whole thing is what?
Oh, man. I think the biggest takeaway for me, and listen, I'm an offensive lineman, so I always go to the run game, was the lack of a running offense. Like I think if you look at the biggest difference between this season and last season, the biggest glaring difference is that we didn't run the ball as effectively, and that was the main thing that killed this offense. And I think that, last year, this year, passing offenses were relatively similar, relatively the same. We had the same issues going into the playoffs last year, and guys, to their credit, answered it and played really well in the postseason, so we like to forget that. But the passing game has been terrible really for 3 years now, or at least at best average. The run game has been the one thing that this offense has been able to hang its hat on, and between injuries and not running the quarterback more, and a lot of those things, I think, we saw a dramatic drop-off in that field, which led to a dramatic drop-off in the offense as an entire piece.
No question.
Really happy with the defense. I mean, it feels weird to be happy about one thing, but, like, dude, what Vic Fangio and those guys accomplished with those young guys on that side of the ball, and the personnel that they've built over there and the way they evolved throughout the season, I mean, very, very impressive year for the defense. That's optimistic looking forward. However we keep pieces and continue to build from here. Offensively, I mean, they need to figure out a complete shift in, how we're doing things. I think at this point we've gone essentially 4 to 5 years with a very similar looking thing that has changed a little bit, but I think it's very evident now, and there's been tons of videos online by a lot of analysts and people poking out like the lack of motion, the predictability of things, yada yada yada, and I'm just it's frustrating to watch week after week the production continue to decline year after year. Right, 22 it peaked. Passing and rushing.
Totally.
Dynamic in all those fields. From there, it has just been a consistent decline. Outside of the outlier last year was Saquon running wild because of a dynamic offensive line and a guy that had an incredible season.
I'm with you, man. So you think reinvent it now? You think it's time to reinvent it?
I don't know that you have to reinvent it. I think it needs to evolve. It needs to evolve. It needs to evolve. Here's the thing. In 2017, when we won the Super Bowl, we were running a wham concept out of 11 personnel and doing things that the league hadn't really seen before. And it was like every time we ran it, it's like a 15 to 20-yard pop. We're running all these RPOs that teams don't have the answer of, like, how do I defend this on the outside? And our offense was the best offense in the NFL. Carson Wentz was the MVP. Before he gets hurt, Nick Foles goes in. We still end up winning the Super Bowl. 23.
Who gets the credit?
Huh?
Who gets the credit for the offense being so interesting, unique on the front end of everything? You said you were ahead of where defenses were.
In 2017 specifically? Or?
Yes.
I don't know whose idea it was to put in wham. I mean, Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. Doug was the head coach. Stout was involved in the run game. Like, I think all those coaches deserve credit. I don't know where, the RPOs, Doug was doing a lot of that with Andy, and they were doing some of these things with my brother where they would read, and then we'd do things with Zach Ertz on the outside. So I don't know who gets the credit for that, but regardless, like,
It was
the next year, those things didn't work as well. This is the point I'm trying to make.
Because the defenses studied and caught up, and that's just the way it works.
Well, you win a Super Bowl, so everybody's going to be studying more anyways. And then teams are trying to incorporate these plays into their offenses. So it has to keep moving. And then in 22, at our height, we're running a different RPO with like 2 tight ends in the off position. The one tight end would slice back, and we'd run this like little one would run a stick, and the other guy would run it out. And like it was like a free play. Anytime you're like 2nd and 10, let's just run this play, and we're going to be in great either a first down or 3rd and manageable.
One of the options is going to work.
Yeah, and the other thing we were doing really well was this tackle guard pull play where Jalen reads it, and that play was great for like 3 years, and it was like an automatic hit. They couldn't play it right, and now teams have adjusted, and those things have had less effect. And A.J. Brown was a guaranteed slant like for 4 years, right? Now that's not working. So you in this league, you have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to push things. And I know there's all sorts of noise of like what the quarterback can do, what Kevin Patullo can do. Frankly, I'm tired of all of it and trying to sort through this. And I think at this point, I just want to see an offense that is dynamic, moving, creative, and utilizing the strengths of all these guys on the field, including Jalen Hurts. And I think I don't want to hear like, it's this person who's in charge of this and who's in. I want one guy. It's like, no, this guy's running what he's doing, and he's incorporating the players within that. But there's no questions about any of that stuff. I'm kind of over that.
Who's the right guy to have that sort of dominant, creative mind? Is he out there like a Mike McDaniel, or is it?
Mike McDaniel certainly would fit that bill. I mean, you have the 2 names that are probably the hottest right now, it seems like, are Daboll and McDaniel. I think McDaniel, watching his scheme, is by far the one that I enjoy watching the most. It is dynamic, the way they use the fullback, the motions, the creative run concepts. Is that the one that incorporates the easiest within our system and our players? I don't know. That would be a drastic change. Daboll would probably be a less drastic change, more similar to some of the things we do, but would probably still be an evolution. Both of those guys have called plays. That's another thing.
Yes.
Shane Steichen was a very, very he play with some guys, and they just have a feel. They know when to go to things, when to not go to things, and you go into the game with a script and a play set and a sheet for your first down runs, your second down your plays, your third down and long, third and medium. And I think really good play callers know when to get to that stuff. They're not just calling it because it's that situation that they game planned pregame.
What about the relationship? You said that Mike McDaniel is a guy who you really like the way his offense looks, but do you know anything about the relationship between him and Vic Fangio? He was the head coach who ended up having to fire Vic Fangio because the players were so up in arms about Vic.
From what
is that an issue?
I don't think that would be an issue. I don't know, obviously, fully what their relationship is. It sounded pretty mutual with Vic's departure from Miami. I don't think that he was upset about any of that, and it's worked out for him pretty well. So I doubt that there's hard feelings over that. And knowing Vic the way I know him, Vic just wants to win football games. I don't think that guy's very complicated. Like he wants to call defense, make meatballs, and win football games. That's pretty much.
Have you had the meatballs?
Huh? I've not. I'm dying to have them after watching.
I've seen them on video.
Yeah, the video of it. I'm like, okay, now I want one of these meatballs.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't deserve it. Yeah, that's the problem.
Maybe you could. You're
so
right.
Jason with us in studio for about the next hour, obviously fielding your phone calls. Demise of the Eagles season, where they go from here. Jason, let's just go to the wrap up of or the existence of what was, then we'll get to calls.
Sure.
I refer to this as one of the most frustrating experiences for me as a fan on a good team that I've ever seen. I mean, they were a good team. They weren't a great team, but they were a good team, borderline very good.
I think.
Did you feel that, like the immense frustration that?
Oh gosh.
I mean, immense frustration, right?
Immense frustration and immense, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the other word, but just like, I'll just leave it with frustration.
Underperformance. It's just like
this is the thing.
Short.
This is the thing. They really weren't a good team. They were great players that underperformed what they should have. And that's the reality of this team's, like, what happened. There's no reason that they should have lost to the San Francisco 49ers. And credit to San Francisco, credit to those coaches. I think Robert Saleh's fantastic, Kyle Shanahan, and those guys played hard. But, like, the talent level and disparity from our offense and what Robert Saleh was dealing with, there's no reason that should have happened. And I think, when the adversity struck last year, Saquon in the running game was able to keep this thing moving forward. And without that this year, I don't think that they didn't really come together the way great teams do. And they made the playoffs. They had good games. They beat great teams. Yeah. But I don't think it's at all wrong to be very frustrated on all levels of this team this season.
What's going to happen with AJ?
I don't know. I think AJ needs to, like, what's Aaron Rodgers goes on the darkness retreat. Like, AJ needs to step away. I think that the frustration was palpable watching it. And I don't think that it is completely unwarranted.
Who is he most frustrated with?
You have to ask AJ that. I don't know. I think, the frustration was obvious looking at a television screen. The frustration was obvious in how it affected him. And that's my overall thing that I would really, it's some guys just, they let these things affect them more. And through 2 years and probably more than that, we've seen with AJ, it has a compounding effect, right? He lets these things that probably a lot of them he really can't control as a player. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden when, it's, he's just letting all that stuff make him play out, make uncharacteristic mistakes and uncharacteristic games of A.J. Brown. And I don't believe that A.J. has lost a step the way that I think I've seen some people say. I think that when you're frustrated and you're upset and things like that, it tends to make you play and look uncharacteristic of who A.J. Brown is. And I've been through that. I remember 2016, there's all these trade rumors about me. I had a terrible year. And they're like, oh, the Saints are going to trade for Jason Kelce to Mark Ingram. I'm like, the Saints aren't going to trade Mark Ingram. I played awful. Like, there's no way. So, like, the Eagles would love to get Mark Ingram for Jason Kelce. But I remember getting texts from my parents and friends, and they're like, what's going to happen? You're going to get traded? You're going to do this? And I remember texting I think it was my mom or my dad, like, I have no idea. And to be honest, it doesn't matter at this point. Like, the season is over. All I can control is what I can control. And that is by attacking the weight room, getting stronger, working on these techniques and fundamentals, and coming back next year. And I had a fantastic season the following year because of all that work I put into what I can control. And receiver is a very frustrating position because ultimately there are so many things that need to go right for you to have success on the football field. All right. I hated playing receiver. I did it for 1 year in freshman football, and I was screaming at the quarterback, right? So I'm not one, like, but you can't, as a player, you have to try and overcome that and just keep your head down. And it just gets to a point where how long can you do that? So I don't know where AJ's at. I know it was frustrating end of the season. I think he needs to get away from things. I think that whole team needs to kind of step away for a second and reevaluate, selfishly what they could have done better, what I can do next year to have a better season. There's going to be new leadership on the offense, clearly, and get ready to attack it when they all get back together.